So, what is it that you wish to say? Asked no one in particular, but it's a representative question. All these hundreds of broadcasts in different directions, could you please just package it into a single delivery representative of all the things that you're trying to say? Okay, let's go. The first chord drop. Let us all get over ourselves, these finite, fractured identities that we attach to. They become the tunnels of our existence, separate us from everyone else, insulate us from the collective, and function as distorting fields for our cognition. So if we can try and exit from our little boxes, look beyond into a broader horizon, look upon ourselves as integral aspects of the whole, that would be beneficial not only for you, but for everyone. Second, let us get over our reactions. We have this tendency to react, evaluate into positives and negatives, wants and don't wants, everything that lands in our horizon. And we do this habitually, we do this unconsciously. And with that unconscious choosing, we are goaded into a particular direction by our conditioning. This happens on instinctual level, on emotional level, on intellectual level, and ultimately on the plane of our identity and our aspirations. All of these reactions, they limit our freedom of choice. They bind us into a particular framing. If we can get over those, we will be in freedom. Third, to attend less to the particular details and attend more to the general patterns. As in, we get off the microscope. We look at the contexts of things. We look at the patterns, the dynamics of things. And in that, we will find much that is familiar to us from countless other contexts. When we are too preoccupied with what is right in front of our nose, we do not see that the same cycle we have gone through 1,000 times, the same patterns, the same loops we have gone through 1,000,000 times. By attending to the patterns of things, to the generality, to the abstract that underlies all specific individual implementations, we gain a broad pool of reference into how best relate to life, existence, ourselves, all situations that we land in. So patterns. All is made of patterns, but we are so obsessed with the details. And fourth, of patterns and perspectives. While there is an infinity of very complex and concrete patterns in our existence, there are also what we call the primaries, the more elementary, the more basic, underlying perspectives, dynamics, windows that give us deeper bearings into what's going on. We'll look at this on 3 basic levels. First, our life, our embodied human framings, the processes that roll forward in our lives. First, into our baseline, we simply are, exist. We turn outward, we look at what is, orient. We take impressions, inward, we feel. And then, from our feelings and our orientation, we wish, aspire, look outward again. Then, will, intention is formed. From that, works follow, we engage and we transform the world. Then, we integrate, pull our essence together, and in the end, all of that synchronized, we actuate, we culminate as human beings in the particular role to which this process relates. That's one set of windows, the 8, that are omnipresent in our concrete manifest existence in its framings. Then, to the middle ground, behind this concrete existence, we have the more general movers. First, deep within ourselves, we have our base structure, our innate construct. Then we have a reflective, adaptive presence flowing through all of reality. Then we have an interactive, catalytic presence where we engage with our agenda against reality. And ultimately, we have our broad horizon, the greater meanings and cycles of our lives, the major system of what we are. That's a plane of orientation, windows into what's going on. Beyond that, we are in a perhaps more metaphysical department. We have the seer, raw prime consciousness. We have the seen, matter, the formative potential itself. And there is the membrane of our engagement, the mirror of our awareness. These are all aspects that may be explored and encountered in states of meditation, and from those encounters, these perceptions will descend into our day-to-day reality, providing higher and deeper vantage points, more categorical aggregators, perspectives, unfolders, openers, even enlighteners into the plurality of our lives. And at the back of it, yes, there is the void, emptiness. Importantly, emptiness of anything permanent. We are ever in the flux of change. And that's the 5th. As we are in this unavoidable, unstoppable flux of perpetual change, nothing is permanent, then why should you attach and be obsessed by particular scenarios, by particular agendas, by your particular identity, the roles that you assume in life? Be flexible, engage your potentials, but do not force them. Be free in your stream of being. Be a free operator in your stream of becoming. It will reduce the suffering you experience. So those are some of the core contemplations, the message in a package, if you will. And as a PS to that, there is the question, what are you hoping to get out of all this? Nothing really. I am simply pouring out what I see, what has been imprinted into me, what has ripened to a point. Now, in the interim, if there were people who actually shared the vision or a part thereof, because these are, all of this that I dropped, these seem to be beneficial for one and all, both individually in reducing our existential claustrophobia, and collectively in reconciling and harmonizing our collective as a whole. If there were people who actually cared to collaborate in their whichever way, there's certainly plenty that could be done. And then, when all of this, what has been said, I'm sure there's plenty more to it, but these baselines, if they establish themselves in the collective mind and take on a life of their own, remaining intact, not hijacked for any questionable agenda, then there be my reward, and I have earned my retirement. I have no interest in showing my face over again and over again and over again. But this is what I have, and I have not the time to start producing whatever deepfakes with the white rabbit speaking out what I actually wish to say. This is simple, authentic communication. And for those of you who are allergic of my unholy appearance, I apologize. This is what I have. Turn the video off, tune to the audio if that's what you need. Read the text if you are also annoyed by my voice. But there are some important points in here. So that's what I hope to share. Okay.